of my death. That is not my portion, as it was not my time. My life is in God's hands, and my death is at God's time. It was not the first attempt on my life, and so long as I continue to speak the truth and champion the cause of the people, regrettably, it may not be the last. Perhaps if I had been, I take that again. Perhaps if it had been the last, then it will be the ghost of Dino Melaye that will be facilitating this conference today. So I give all glory to God Almighty. And it is to that I now turn. I am honored to facilitate this discussion, or as you lawyers prefer to say, I am holding brief. Among the finest legal minds in Nigeria to ruminate over transparency in the electoral process and electoral funding. So in keeping with the profession's best practice and applying the Socratic method, I shall make a few remarks. Democracy has been defined here today by both Professor and my brother Charles as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But for me, what we have in Nigeria is greediocracy. Government of the greedy, by the greedy, and for the greedy. In this case, the politicians are greedy. The lawyers who represent us in the tribunal are very greedy. INEC, that is supposed to be the umpire, very greedy. The judges and justices were also approaching, very greedy. The electorate that is voting us, very, very greedy. So we live in a greedy society. Indeed, this round table could not be more timely. 3 INEC officials and Desiani Alison Madueke, the former Minister of Petroleum, are currently facing corruption and money laundering charges. One has already pleaded guilty and is waiting for sentencing. Political turmoil continues to roil in the PDP. Elections have just been concluded in Ondo states and are in due shortly in Osun State and Ekiti State thereafter. These are the opening acts for 2019. While INEC officials are facing the sharp end of the law for money laundering, what is less reported is the fate of the candidates who contested the election. So let me then recount a tale in the life cycle of Tayo and Ijeoma. 2 candidates, their selection, election, ejection, and convictions. It is like Charles Dickens's tale of 2 cities. Tayo is the son of a strong man in the local politics with ambitions to be governor, who barely graduated from university and won the party primaries in a controversial manner. He raises 500 million in campaign contributions from businessmen, the governor of the state, and 2 foreign contractors close to his father. Ijeoma, on the other hand, by contrast, is a first-class honors graduate, PhD holder like Professor Osundo, former World Bank high flyer, and Director General of an international non-governmental organization. Among the odds, including attempts by the party bigwigs to derail her in the primaries, she got the primary tickets. As revenge, the party leadership refused to fund their campaign, despite substantial funds held by the party for each candidate's campaign. Ijeoma's campaign, nevertheless, was able to raise funds, pledges, and support from the grassroots. Our campaign contained 900,000. On election day, Ijeoma was approached by a state INEC chief who offered her win the election while telling her that her opponent had offered 200 million. Election day saw violence at the polling stations in areas where Ijeoma support was strong, but Ijeoma won as the votes were counted at the polling stations. But when the returning officer certified the votes at the collation center, Tayo won. The matter went to court. Tayo hired a former Attorney General with strong connection to judges. Ijeoma represented herself. The judges upheld Tayo's victory. Celebrating his victory, Tayo thanked those who had contributed to his campaign, saying it was 1 billion naira. That the 1 billion naira was once well spent to hand him sweet victory. The story of Tayo we know in Nigeria. The violations of electoral, campaign, finance, and transparency laws in this example could occupy law students for years. But the more interesting story of Ijeoma is actually not in Nigeria, but is made in Germany. Ijeoma, in fact, mirrors the true story of none other than the Chancellor Angela Merkel. She is the daughter of a preacher from a small town in eastern Germany with no money, fewer connections, who rose by intellect, ambition, and talent to become the longest serving head of government in unified Germany, and as one of the most powerful people on earth. If our political and electoral system values integrity and excellence more than money, then our Angela or Ijeoma will emerge from places like Abakaliki, Irakuji, or Jalingo. Let's look briefly at the specifics. In Germany, any donation to a party that extends 50,000 euros gets published in the Federal Gazette. The German government provides party funds matching 45% of donations and also provide a modest amount for each broadcast. In the last general elections in Germany, total party financing provided in Germany was 150 million euros. Angela's party, like the main opposition, spent a total of 47 million. In Nigeria, there are allegations that Goodluck Jonathan spent 2 trillion on elections. Even if the truth is closer to 200 billion naira, it is still twice as much as Angela Merkel's party spent. Let's put it into context. Nigeria's GDP in Jonathan's time was $512 billion. Germany's GDP was 3.7 trillion US. 7 times Nigeria's, while spending between 1 to 7th and 1 to 10th of the money Nigeria spent on campaign financing. This calls for a serious pause. And I want to believe this discussion is also in that direction. How do I know this? Because the key is disclosure. If you want, as a German party, to receiving that party's funding from government, you have to present the administration with audited accounts each year. That doesn't happen here. The media and indeed any citizen can scrutinize those accounts, which are published on German's parliament's websites. Transparency only works if the data is readily available. You cannot have transparency where there are no information or data. It only works if the data is out there for all to see.